Fall camp just right around the corner for the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame will take the practice field on Saturday, August 7th, ahead of the season opener at Florida State. We've talked about quarterbacks. We've talked about the rest of the position on the offensive side of the ball. Let's move to defense. When you look at the secondary, Tyler, you know what you have with Kyle Hamilton, the safety position next to him, DJ Brown, Houston Griffith, solid players for Notre Dame. The cornerback position, Clarence Lewis, Cam Hart, Tariq Bracy. You know what you have in Kyle Hamilton, but what does he have around him?
Well, I think that's the thing. You know the guys that he has around him too. You just don't know how good those guys are. Can Griffith be, another safety that can make plays? You can't expect Kyle Hamilton to make every single play in the safety position. I know, he's on the Jim Thorpe Award watch list and he's on 4 other watch lists too, but he's only one guy. The secondary is comprised of 4. So can Griffith be the guy? And then at corner, Cam Hart, he's long, he's rangy, he's got all the talent in the world. I talked to 3 of his high school coaches this summer for a feature we did for the August edition of the magazine, and they all love him. They all think, that he was a corner, from the day he started playing football, even though he played quarterback, he played wide receiver. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he does at the corner spot. And then at the other corner spot as well, we saw Clarence Lewis a ton last year. Can he take that next step as a sophomore, or is he going to have a sophomore slump? These are all questions that need to be answered this year. And like I said, the guys who are going to play in these spots. How good are they? That's what we're going to find out this month and then really in September too.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's secondary gets a huge boost if Cam Hart is as good as we're all hope. You have Clarence Lewis out to the field, Tariq Bracy maybe play the nickel spot. Looking to the linebacker at that rover position, you have to replace Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, which can't be easy for first-year coordinator and position coach Marcus Freeman.
No, not at all. I mean, you're talking about a unanimous All-American and Buckus Award winner that's no longer on your defense. But I think there's some reason to be pretty optimistic or excited about what Notre Dame's linebacker play looks like. Whether that's Jack Kaiser playing rover, probably the favorite heading into camp at that point. He's not going to be a Owusu-Koramoah because nobody is, but doesn't mean he can't be an effective player in his own right, especially as a blitzer or kind of a guy you drop into the flat in zone defense and you have him wipe out guys after the catch and limit yards after the catch. And then at will linebacker, kind of a spot Notre Dame had 3 guys they rotated through a year ago, no real consistent options. I think you look at it as having 2 pretty reliable guys, or at least guys you feel good about their ascent, in Maris Liufau and Shane Simon, having made a lot of progress in the spring from where they were last fall. Whichever one of them ends up winning that job, I think you can expect to be more of a weekly presence than what Notre Dame got from that spot in 2020. And then, of course, Drew White, third-year starter in the middle, one of a couple of fifth-year senior starters on the defense. You pretty much know what you have in him, and a guy who's really going to play the run well, be a presence on rundowns and on those first 2 downs, and an underrated blitzer in the rare moments that they do use him.
Now moving to the defensive line, Mike Elston has just recruited so well at that position, just stockpiled deep talent. Part of the reason in our top 25 most important players list, I had him ranked a little bit lower because if you take one out, there's just so much depth. Speak to that depth a little bit. I mean, it's all of the defensive line positions, it's just stockpiled.
Yeah, and if you look at those starters too, I mean, those are guys that are just playmakers across the board. You got Isaiah Foskey at one defensive end spot, and then you go to the other end. I think that's one of the more intriguing things to watch in fall camp is how does Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa do at defensive end after moving over from tackle. So can those guys get pass rush? Can those guys generate pressure on opposing quarterbacks? Isaiah Foskey last year, he kind of disappeared down the stretch of that season. So if he's not getting pass rush, you're going to have to look to some of those other guys to come in. And, I mean, that's the name of the game at the defensive line position is move the line of scrimmage. Then you look in the middle, you have Jason Ademalola, who, he's kind of been throughout his career just kind of overlooked because of all this depth that we talk about. But now he's getting his chance to start in the middle there, and I think he's going to have a pretty big year. So just kind of a wealth of riches at that position. And throughout camp, I think we're really going to see that all these guys have potential to play a lot this season.
Yeah, of course. Kurt Heinisch coming back, using that extra year of COVID eligibility, gives Mike Elston's unit a huge boost. Make sure to lock in at blueandgold.com for all coverage of fall camp. We will have everything that you need.